Hello there, my name's Annette with Sunbeam Fabric Art. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm working through the last of these blue scraps, and you can see some of them are already in pieces and 4 patches or 2 patches, and even a couple of units that are strips. The first thing I've got to do is sort these scraps out and see what I actually have. I decided to just sit down as usual and start sewing pieces together. I started with my larger pieces first, and I'm just kind of looking at maybe trying to find a light-dark combination or enough contrast in sewing 2 pieces together. Well, while I was doing this, I changed my mind and I decided rather than sewing these long strips together, I was going to go ahead and cut them ahead of time into approximately 8-inch lengths. Once I had those longer strips cut down into the smaller lengths, that's when I started sewing these little pieces together. As I'm going through, I am trying to match light and dark, or definitely strips that will contrast with each other. You can see I do still have a lot of scrap pieces in this blue, these blue leftovers that are smaller than my 8-inch length that I'm working with. So once I finished the longer pieces, I started working on those smaller pieces, just building them up until I had something usable. Because these smaller units were getting very bulky, I did press them after each round. One of the blue scraps giving quilts that I made that looked kind of like a waterfall had lots and lots of triangle cutoffs. So I wanted to slow down here and show you what I am doing with those triangle cutoffs. Starting with one triangle, I then attached another triangle on the right side and another triangle on the left side. I'm trimming off those dog ears as I go, and I am not really worrying about measuring this at this point. If you're stitching triangles this way with no foundation, it's likely your triangles may go a little bit wonky off to one side or the other. There are different ways to keep those triangles straight for yourself. You can use a ruler to line up the base of the main triangle with the base of the triangle that you previously placed. I continued stitching these little triangles together until I had used most of them up. I moved my iron a little bit closer so it would be more convenient to press these after each addition. Once I had all my big and smaller units stitched together, I pressed everything nice and flat, trimmed up edges, then I took a look on the floor, laid everything out to see if I even had enough here for a quilt. Here is that look at the various pieces I've got put together. I can see this is not enough for the quilt size I'm trying to make here. I went to my stash and I pulled out the rest of that blue floral print that I got 5 yards of that for like $5 at a thrift store. And then I've got a couple of dark navy fabrics that I got at an antique mall, vintage yardage. I thought I could make a nice baby size quilt by cutting these units into 16-inch widths and making just 3 random columns. So I'm trying to put smaller pieces together so I can get 16-inch widths on these scraps, and the ones that are larger I was cutting down into 16-inch. Then I took that dark print, the vintage prints, and the floral print and started cutting those into 16-inch lengths. Once I had everything cut to 16 inches, I started mixing and matching. I wasn't going to really worry too much about placement. I was just going to randomly put these together, and once I had my stack, I was able to sit down at the sewing machine and just chain piece. Here's a look at that triangle strip. Isn't that cute? It would be fun to make a whole quilt out of those triangles. I guess that would be like flying geese. But these were made on the fly and no measuring, just sewing my little triangles together. I continued chain piecing these 16-inch widths together into 3 columns. Once the columns were completed, I stitched the 3 columns together. I didn't have to worry about matching because all the rows are different widths. There is nothing that has to match up here. I did find it easier to cut a straight edge in order to have the 2 columns match up nicely. Once that was done, I squared up all 4 sides of this quilt. And here's a look at that finished quilt top. This will be a fun little quilt for a baby. Here's a close-up of some of those scrappy pieces. I think my favorite are the little triangles. They were such a pain to make, and I think they turned out really cute. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope to see you back again real soon.